Thank you, Prof. And thank you, Madam Prof. The lessons that Zimbabwe has learned from Lesotho is that regulations have to be put in place. The Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe is having its inaugural technical committee on cannabis tomorrow, because there have been a lot of issues that have been identified, which is why I was raising some issues concerning outdoor and indoor cultivation, because everyone is at 6s and 7s when it comes to that. That's number one. The second thing that I think Zimbabwe has also learned is that there needs to be a lot of research on the plant itself in terms of its agronomy, because as Trish pointed out earlier when she mentioned she raised the issue of seeds and gene bank and all that, we don't know much about the plant itself, because a lot of people have been using it for different things, and not much research has been carried out. So what Zimbabwe is now doing is to try and rope in people who've worked on the tobacco industry, for example, the Tobacco Research Board, to go into understanding more about the plant and so forth, so that at the end of the day, when one wants to cultivate the plant indoor, there would be regulations that would sort of give a go-ahead in terms of what type of seed has to be brought into the country and so forth. So that's what Zimbabwe has learned from Lesotho. Issues concerning regulations, issues concerning the agronomy, the genetics of the plant, and so forth and so on. But like I think Ms. Nade said earlier on, we are all learning, and it's an issue that maybe the countries in the region have to get all their act together and come up with maybe a regional research institute which looks into the cultivation of cannabis. It's good that at least Lesotho has established a lab where some analysis is being carried out and so forth. I think the different countries can then get together and say or agree to say where would the agronomical kind of research be carried out, where would be the clinical aspects of the different types of cannabis products be carried out, and so forth and so on. So there's so many lessons, and Zimbabwe continues to learn from Lesotho. That's all I can say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I don't know if Mamelo, you have any questions, or if there are questions from colleagues here. And I guess Zimbabwe also learned that a militaristic approach is not always the best, because I remember that at the beginning, they started by saying, the military will have a percentage of your license and all of that, and it just didn't work. Whereas I think Lesotho seemed to have just left it to the free market. And Zimbabwe has now become quite successful because, in a sense, their processes have become quite attractive because they recanted around that.
Right.
Yeah.
Prof, I remember I shared in the last session that I was one of the few people who went into Zimbabwe to invest in the cannabis industry. And we were really turned off by the strenuous process that we had to go through, and the mandatory to be joined with a particular ministry for you to be able to function in a country. Has the country made amendments to such requirements? Because there is no investor really who would adhere to such stringent and so on requirements.
Yeah.
Has it seen the issues of appetite from investor? Are there any strategies on the ground that increased investor appetite back into the country?
Certainly, because I don't know when you went. Maybe you went before an entity called ZIDA had been established. This ZIDA stands for Zimbabwe Investment Development Authority. So that has been given the mandate to look at all these things. So it then assisting the government. That's why Prof. Makatere said, Zimbabwe is somewhat liberalized, the cannabis industry, because you can't set up an institution like ZIDA and then at the same time discourage people to come and invest in your country. So things are sort of opening up. Things are opening up. There's about 57 licenses that have been issued so far. 57.
Great.
But I'm not saying all those 57 are operational or not. Very few.
Okay.
I mean, all those 57 can't belong to the army, obviously.
Yeah. In terms of participation of the locals, how has that been? Are there many Zimbabweans who are participating in the industry?
Yes, I mean, people are beginning to want to go into the industry, but as you know, it's capital intensive. Yeah, that's why I keep on harping on the issue of indoor or outdoor, because when you want to go indoor, it is not a joke. In Lesotho, they are happy because they have the clean air, they have clean water, they've got electricity. But in Zim at the moment, electricity is up and down and so forth. So it's in terms of capital intensive, it is. That's what discourages people. So that's why a lot of these people who've got these licenses, they've not gone into operations yet. But Canadians, Swiss, and Germans are showing interest.
Okay, so with that, then maybe let's get Srivatsa to talk about how do small companies enter the value chain?